the Hall of Justice, and the evil Legion of Doom. Let's talk about it. Hello, heroes and villains. Welcome to Multiverse. So we have the development update for October 2021. Basically, they're talking about what they've done so far this year, and they're talking a bit about their future plans. The one thing to take away, though, is that the next DLC will be the Legion of Doom DLC, and it will add a landmark that I'm sure a lot of people would get some member berries about it, the Hall of Justice. If you were a kid in the 70s or 80s, you probably were watching the Super Friends. And one of the thing that always came back in the Super Friends was the Hall of Justice, the headquarters of the Super Friends. So they're talking about some of the changes they made this year. Basically, they made all the episodes free for everyone, which is something I'm sure a lot of people appreciate. Sadly, the downside to that is that, on the other hand, they double down on, let's say, overcharging for certain things. Basically, we saw the ally system, where they pretty much decided to charge an arm and a leg for the legendary allies. It's something that was to be expected. Like, if they give you something free with one hand, they are going to charge or to take away with the other hand. And obviously, it was clear that to make up for the loss of revenue from the free episodes, they were going to start charging us. Already, you would have thought that with the time capsule, the booster bundle, the resurgence mega capsule, that would have been their way to make up for the free episode. But sadly, no, these were revenue streams that were already established. So if they were going to take away one revenue stream, which was the free episodes, they were going to add a new revenue stream, which turns out to be the ally system. I'll probably make a video about the allies soon. I already made a couple of videos, but things keep on changing with the allies, so it's kind of tricky to try to make a video about it right now that won't be obsolete in like 2 weeks. But I'll try to make a video talking about the allies. But roughly, they went all in to charge for the allies, and sadly, they quickly discovered that they went too far. They did backtrack since then. They will make some more changes to the allies. Already, they've put like the legendary alliances on the cyborg vendor that you can purchase for source marks. And they're talking about making the allies redeemable for every single characters in your account. So these are steps to make the allies, let's say, more acceptable. But if they do lower the prices on the allies, which is more or less what they're doing in a roundabout ways, that means that to make up for their lost revenue, they'll probably add something else that we're going to have to pay for in the near future. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. But basically, they gave the free episodes to everyone. But sadly, they turned around and started charging extra for other stuff in the game. They also gave unlimited cash to premium players. Free-to-play players now have $50,000. There's the new daily reward system, which sadly is a mixed blessing. Yeah, it is nice. You log in, you collect your daily rewards. And I guess if you have only one character, yeah, the daily rewards are a good thing. If you're someone like me who had a lot of alternate characters, what I quickly realized is that when I would log in with my characters in the vault, it would mean one source marks, some nth metal, and one piece of gear for each character, basically. So if I have 10, let's say I have 10 characters, that would mean 10 source marks every day, 10 pieces of gear, and 10 times the nth metal that I could get. I have actually 32 characters. Technically, I have 50 some characters, but it's on two separate accounts. So let's focus on only one account. So let's say you have 32 characters with your 32 characters in your account. That meant 32 replay badges, 32 source marks every day, 32 pieces of gear every day, and 32 times the nth medal every day. So if you are someone who had a lot of characters, the new daily rewards is a clear downgrade. So depending on where you fit on the scale, on the lower end of the scale, if you have only one character, yeah, the new daily rewards is probably a clear upgrade. If you have a lot of characters like I do, the new daily rewards is a clear downgrade. Even though we do get some stuff that we didn't used to get, like the ally favor, at the end of the day, we still lost a whole bunch of nth metal we used to get with the vault, and we still lose one source marks for each character for every vault run. So I've noticed lately, like a lot of my alternate characters that used to be able to get a lot of source marks, and now are hurting for source marks because I cannot run the vault anymore with them. And yeah, I could run something else with them, but there's nothing that would give you one source marks that you could run as quickly as the vault. So and the same with the for the nth medal, the same for the nth medal, and also the nth medal. You also got nth medal from the stabilizer fragmentation mission. So that was they made a few changes that were quite let's say bad. If you were someone who had a lot of characters, if you had only one characters, you're getting you're clearly getting an upgrade with the daily rewards. If you have a lot of characters, you're clearly getting a downgrade with the daily rewards. It's sad, but that's how it is. Which is, I guess, the biggest misstep they made with all their new changes. They've hyper focused on trying to get new players, on trying to reward either reward new players or even reward free to play players, which is a bit strange. You would think that they would reward the people who are actually paying to support the game, but at the end of the day, they ended up rewarding the people who do not support the game in any way. And they ended up punishing the people who actually do support the game, the people actually paying to play this Universe Online. And they turned around and said, okay, to make up for all the free stuff we're giving away, you are going to have to pay even more to be able to to keep on getting everything you used to get. So it's a weird strategy that I think is backfiring. Seeing some of the changes they seem to be making, I think that strategy, I think it did not bring as many new players as they expected, and they probably lost a lot of older players, sadly, thanks to that. I can even see it in my numbers. With the House of Legends, I took quite a hit. When I look at my analytics, I can see that the amount of there's quite a few things that changed. The amount of unique viewers went down by roughly 30%. And even the very first video I made about the House of Legends, right there and then I lost like 30 subscribers within 1 hour. It happens sometimes that I'll lose subscribers, like sometimes I'll lose 20 subscribers in one day. Um, it seems to be something that YouTube is doing from time to time. Sometimes they're clearing out they're removing subscribers for whatever reasons, and so once in a while it'll happen that at the end of the day I'll have lost 20 subscribers, but it will be like 20 subscribers in one day. And there it was like within 1 hour there's 30 subscribers that when they saw my House of Legends video decided that okay, adios amigos, I'm out of here. So I saw quite a drop as soon as I made my first video with House of Legends, and then later on I saw quite a drop in the analytics. I would say roughly I lost. There's probably roughly 30% of the audience that pretty much disappeared overnight, and I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened in the game. I don't have the numbers for the game. Obviously, the devs are the ones who have that, but based on my numbers and also based on kind of what I see in the game, I would say that they did take quite a hit with their new House of Legend, with all the changes they made with the House of Legends. Not just the House of Legends itself, but the stat clamp, the new ally system, and all that stuff. Which is why probably they're backtracking. Very quickly they backtracked when it comes to source marks. They had made it so that we didn't get source marks with the end game content, and they quickly backtracked on that. They're slowly backtracking about some of the aspects of the stat clamp. We'll take a look at that a bit later, maybe in the video. And also they came up with something, Save the Universe, which was, I guess, a way to be able to reuse some older content. Obviously, creating new content is time consuming, and I guess they were hoping to be able to reuse some older content so that they could either take a break at various points, or because there's various times in the year where they cannot make content. Like obviously during the Christmas seasonal, the Christmas holidays, they cannot create as much content. There's probably a few times in the year where people are on vacation. So there's probably various times in the year, like during the summer, where they cannot create as much content. So I guess they saw something like Save the Universe as an easy way to be able to add content quickly and cheaply. Sadly, it came off a bit cheap. We played those missions hundreds, if not thousands of times. People got quickly burnt out on the Save the Universe content. So I guess they're trying to find a way to be able to reuse older content in a quote unquote fresh new way, and in a way that requires not too much work. Sadly, I don't think people responded all too well to the Save the Universe. I guess it depends also on which part of the Save the Universe. I guess the Superman content was better received than the Batman content, depending on which mission they actually decide to reuse. Some people may be more receptive to replaying older content. But in the case of the Batman, the classic missions, people were clearly not happy about those. I guess the true test for Save the Universe will be the Wonder Woman classic missions, where with the Batman and Superman missions, you had a solo, an elite solo mission you could play if for some reason you didn't want to play with other people. With Wonder Woman classic, you're going to be stuck playing a duo at the very least. And also, the raid they've chosen is Throne of the Dead. Holy crap, that raid was a nightmare way back when. I suspect it will be a nightmare once more. So I guess the Wonder Woman classic missions will be the true test to finally see if the whole Save the Universe thing is a good idea or it should be forgotten and never used again. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that one. And then in December, we'll get the new episode, Legion of Doom. I'm a bit surprised by that because basically they went out of their way to create the Hall of Legends and to bring the heroes and the villains together. And now we're going to be fighting the Legion of Doom. From the hero's point of view, yeah, it makes sense. But from the villain's point of view, basically you're going to be fighting against your mentor. You're going to be fighting against those that are supposed to be your allies. So it's a weird choice because they just went out of their ways to pretty much almost get rid of the factions, get rid of the fact that there's heroes and villains, and put everyone together. And now they're going to go in a DLC that's clearly against the evil villains. So it's a bit strange story-wise or thematic-wise. Basically, the theme right now with the House of Legends was that heroes and villains have to band together against the forces of Perpetua. But now it turns out that they're also going to have to fight against the Legion of Doom. And if you are an evil villain who's been hanging in the Hall of Doom for the past 10 years, it's going to be a bit strange to turn against your mentors. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Maybe the story actually does make some kind of sense. But again, it seems to be a bit of a contradiction to everything they've been doing with the House of Legends, and how they've been pretty much going out of their way to get rid of the factions and unite all the heroes and villains into pretty much a single faction. I guess we'll have to wait and see for the actual storyline for that one. But basically what we need to know about the Legion of Doom, Doom DLC is that it will pretty much be back to being a traditional DLC. So we will have missions, we will have the event that everyone will be able to play with. We will have missions that you will need, obviously, endgame combat rating to be able to play those at level, and there'll probably be also the elite version of those missions, although there seems to be one change actually. So basically we're going to get a duo and alert, and we are going to get a single raid, which supposedly will be a large raid. It will be as big as 2 normal raid. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see for that. We can see that sometimes with certain raids, like with the Flashpoint DLC, we did get 2 raid, but one of them was like confined to 1 room, so it was a bit, let's say, a bit small. Here they're promising a large raid that will be as big as 2 raids. I guess we'll have to wait and see about that. But so far, people did not seem to be too happy about that, about the fact that we're getting again 1 raid. We had a similar situation with the Legion DLC. Basically, people were not too happy that we got a duo, an alert, and 1 raid in that DLC, and it seems to be pretty much the same formula, which was not very successful with the Legion DLC. So hopefully they'll do a better job with this one to keep people interested in that DLC. And also reading the description of that DLC, this almost seems like it should have been Metal Part 3. But I guess they didn't want to go with metal again. They seem to be aiming at the member berries, as we saw with the Hall of Justice. I guess the Legion of Doom strikes a nostalgic chord with a lot of people, so I can see why they decided to go in that direction as opposed to Metal Part 3. I guess we'll have to wait and see for the actual DLC itself. And here we can see some of the changes they're making with the stat clamp. They're not backtracking per se, but they are making a few changes that are somewhat backtracking from what they made before. So they will increase the combat rating to like plus 15 compared to the NPCs. I think right now it's plus 10. So they're increasing that a bit so that people will be a bit more powerful against NPCs. I have to admit, I didn't test everything in the whole content in the stat clamp. There's just too much content, and I wasn't able to get around to doing that. There's some missions that you can play easily enough, even if you're clamped. But there's some missions where obviously you need a full group to be able to play those, or I should say some bounties. There's certain bounties that you can defeat by yourself well enough. Other bounties, it's just not an option. There's a few exceptions. Like there's some bounties that you can defeat if you are, let's say, a tank. If you're like an earth tank, yeah, you can solo the like the Teen Titan bounties in the Gotham Dark Metal map. But if you are like a controller, it's going to be a bit more challenging. So depending on which power you used, the stat clamp had a different impact on your character. So again, if you play the fire tank, there's probably a whole bunch of stuff you can still solo with your fire tank. But there's no way you can solo with, let's say, a quantum controller. It's sad, but that's how it is. So here they're making a whole bunch of changes. I guess the most welcome change will be the change to the elite version of the missions. But already before the stat clamp, there's some missions that you just could not play with random players. It's sad, but that's how it was. So with the stat clamp, it pretty much guaranteed that those missions would be impossible to play. Here, I guess in the long run, there's at least a few missions that we should be able to play with random players. If we get overgeared enough, I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. It's not a big deal. At the end of the day, if you cannot play any elite content, yeah, you miss out a bit on a few enhanced version of certain styles, but it's not really a big deal. And here they're talking about they're going to work some more on the UI, which yeah, this probably need a lot of work. With the daily fate, Dr. Daily rewards, there was quite a few, let's say a few glitch here and there. And there's something wrong with the timer. Somehow they cannot seems to be able to set the timer for one time. The timer seems to be all over the place and keeps on changing. Early on, it was pretty much after the daily reset. We could then claim our daily rewards, but very quickly that went down the drain. And now I have to admit, at some point you could claim the rewards at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And nowadays, I couldn't even give you a time because sometimes I can claim the rewards in the morning, sometimes I can claim the reward at night. Sometimes I have to wait for the reward before I can claim the reward, and I have no idea why. So right now, the whole reward system seems to be a bit messed up. So they definitely they need to fix that. There's also the allies. The allies were in a big fail at start. It's sad, but that's how it is. They way overcharged for those allies. And they did not give any thoughts. They really did not put any thought into those allies. There's no clear progression between allies. There's no clear progression between tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 allies. You would think that the progression would be clear. With tier 1 allies, you can level up those quickly enough, and you don't need a lot of resources to do so. With tier 3 allies, you need not only to purchase them, which at the end of the day, you could decide, okay, the 25 bucks, it's only like for a cosmetic purchase, doesn't matter. But then afterwards, you have to use a lot of ally favor and a lot of alliances to level those up. So the proportion of resources you need to level up the legendary ally is so high compared to the tier 1 ally that there has to be a clear progression. Tier 3 allies have to be clearly much better than tier 1 allies or even tier 2 allies because of all the resources you need to be able to upgrade them. And right now that's not the case. Last I checked, I haven't looked at the Obsidian Chills video in some time. But basically, if you look at the Obsidian Chills video, there's no doubt that at least at some point, the Cyborg ally was by far the best. So why upgrade Batman or Aquaman to rank 10 when your rank 8 Cyborg is much better than any of those? So the ally has been a fail on various fronts. It's been a fail on how they try to monetize it. Although they're backtracking a bit, they've made the legendary alliances available to purchase with source marks on the Cyborg vendor. Supposedly, eventually, we will also be able to purchase the legendary allies from Cyborg, again using source marks. Although the distinction will be for if you purchase the allies from Cyborg, it will be only for one character, and they're supposed to change the allies on the marketplace so that if you do purchase the allies on the marketplace, they will be redeemable for every single characters in your account, more or less like they did with the legend characters way back when. So they're going to make a whole bunch of changes still to the legendary allies. They try to tweak also some of the abilities. Some of the abilities they had were pointless. Like Batman that gives extra defense when you play solo. Really, if you can play any content solo with your character, doesn't matter if you have more or less defense. It was completely pointless. And now they changed the Batman so that even in groups, it will also give you a boost to your defense. Not as big as if you play solo, but still it will give you a boost. So it will be useful at the very least for tank players. And for the Aquaman ability, at first his ability to be able to improve the quality, give a boost to your pet, that was only for sorcery and earth powers. Somehow someone thought that, hey, let's give it an ability to Aquaman, a character that you have to purchase 25 bucks, a character that you have to spend a whole bunch of resources to upgrade to rank 10. Let's give him an ability that will only be useful for sorcery and earth player. That made no sense at all. But sadly, it's almost as if the people behind the ally system never played this Universe Online before. It's as if they don't know how to, like just even with the Aquaman ability again to boost the pets would get a boost when you summon them at first. No one does that. Like you summon your pet, as soon as you summon your pet, and then you keep your pet summoned forever. You don't summon and unsummon your pet before every battle. You summon it once, and you only summon it again once it gets defeated in battle, which in some cases doesn't happen very often. So it was an ability that was completely pointless, and that showed that whoever came up with that ability never played a tank, an earth character ever, or a sorcery character, because again, you don't summon and unsummon your pet. You summon it once and you keep it summoned forever. So I don't know what was behind the ally system. It's almost as if it was someone from marketing who never played DCUO before, who decided, okay, let's select these characters and let's give them these abilities at random, and it made no sense. Again, it made no sense in terms of clear progression. No clear progression between tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and it made no sense in the abilities themselves. So, but they seem to be changing that slowly but surely. Although the sad part is that even though they seem to be willing to make changes, it still seems to be the same people in charge of the allies who seems a bit clueless when it comes to the game, because some of the changes they made to the Aquaman's ability to give a boost to pet still doesn't really work. Like right now they change it so that the pet gains it does boost almost every pet, so it doesn't matter which power you use. You can use Aquaman now with every power, but you have to take damage in order to give a boost to the pet, or at least that's what it was the last time I looked on test. I should probably go check again. But basically, so their idea was to change the ability so that once you take damage, that is when your pet gets a boost. If you play a tank character, yeah, sure, fine, you'll take plenty of damage. But if you play a controller or a healer, no, you try to stay out of harm's way. You let the tank take all the damage, and you try to stay out of harm's way. And sadly, that probably wouldn't help you with your pets. So it's a bit strange the way they unless they decided to make the ability only for tank, which we know is not the case, because originally it was going to work also for sorcery. So obviously they want healers to be able to use that ability as well. But again, healers will try very hard not to take damage. They'll stay out of battle. They'll let the tank go into melee, and they'll just stay in range and cast their abilities. So anyways, for the allies, it was a whole bunch of fail, and sadly, even trying to fix the allies, it seems to be the same people again who failed to begin with, who are still failing to try to fix the allies. I guess we'll have to wait and see long term what actually happens with the allies. The next ally we will get is Nubia. For October, they're supposed to celebrate Wonder Woman at least a bit, so I assume that's when we will get Nubia at some point. I guess I'll talk a bit more. I didn't really try her out. She's on test right now, and I did not try out her ability, but she seems to be clearly a better option than most of the allies we have right now. Again, I didn't look at the character in a bit though, so maybe they made some more changes that I'm not aware of that makes the character pointless. Because with the other allies, at first, there were some abilities that were at least somewhat useful. Like Aquaman has an ability that reduces the cooldown of other allies. So basically, you could summon Zoom, and then thanks to Aquaman's ability, once you use a supercharge, you could summon Zoom again. It was limited to, it had a restriction. Basically, it was limited to you using a supercharge, which was, I guess, kind of easy enough to do. So you could summon Zoom 2, 3 times very easily at the same time. But obviously, it was too good in ability. They decided to nerf it, and they nerfed it to a point where it pretty much made it useless. So maybe they'll do the same to Nubia. Who knows? The same with Zoom. Zoom used to be a really good ally to have in battle, and of course they nerfed him so bad that not very useful anymore. But now Cyborg is the useful one. I have to wonder if they're going to nerf Cyborg, or if they're going to be, let's say, hesitant to nerf Cyborg in any way. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. And also here they're talking about next January, the future, as they says. So obviously we will get the anniversary event in January. A lot of guys ask me about the Speed Force style. It's a style that's very popular with pretty much everyone. And a lot of you guys are worried that the style will not come back in January. Don't worry. In January, when the anniversary event comes back, when the anniversary event vendor comes back, you will be able to purchase the Speed Force style from the anniversary event vendor. If you're lucky, you might still be able to buy it from the broker. I have to admit, did not check the broker in a while, but at this point, it's probably very expensive. So at this point, I would suggest play the long game. Just wait for the next January event, and you'll be able to purchase the Flash, the Speed Force Flash style easily enough. And also, it seems they will release the Blue Beetle style in January as well. It's a bit sad. I thought they were going to release it in December. I would have bet that they were going to release that style during December for the daily Doctor Fate reward. I guess I was wrong. So and they're talking also about episode 43 for the native PS4 client. At the earliest, it'll be sometimes like next summer. So sadly, if you're playing on PS5, which is probably not a lot of you guys, I've been looking around. I still cannot get a PS5, so I assume I'm not alone on that front. But for the native PS5 client, next summer at the earliest. And for obviously there's going to Valentine's Day, the St. Patrick's Day. Those events will return, and usually those are pretty fun. They're smaller events, obviously, but they're still fun. And there will be another development update in January around the time of the DCUO's anniversary. Obviously, we'll probably get a few gifts for the anniversary of DCUO, which will be the 11th anniversary of DCUO. And of course, we'll probably get some new rewards with the anniversary event. On the anniversary vendor. Every year, they pretty much add at least one new style. Last year, they added the Speed Force style, which was very well received by pretty much everyone. Hopefully, they give us a similar style. I'm starting to wonder if maybe the Blue Beetle style will be that. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, so for January, there will be another developer update. So we should be able to get more information then about the future of DCUO. So here we have the little chart, which pretty much sums up everything in the development update. So obviously episode 42, Legion of Doom, but that will be in December. Hopefully it'll be like a December 3rd, like early December, because whenever there's a new DLC, there's always issues that come up. So they'll need at least a week, if not two, to be able to fix whatever bugs will encounter in the Legion of Doom DLC. And obviously during the Christmas seasonal, they will be during Christmas. They'll have some time off. So it's never a good time to be able to have a game that kind of breaks. So if they release the Legion of Doom DLC too close to Christmas, we may have to suffer a week or two with a broken game. If there's some big issue, I guess they are going to have no choice but to fix it. But if there's some sort of smaller issues, we're going to have to wait until January before they actually fix it. So hopefully it won't be released too close to the Christmas holiday. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. Again, they're mentioning the Wonder Woman's 80th anniversary. They did mention already that it's something that we would sort of celebrate in October. Already October 14th, we will get the Wonder Woman Classic missions. I suspect we'll get also the Nubia Legendary Ally. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. Of course, we have the fall event that we have right now. There's going to be the winter event in December. And obviously in January, we'll have the anniversary event. We don't have any information about what's going to be added to the anniversary event just yet. We barely started getting information about episode 42, Legion of Doom. Uh, so at the very worst, we'll get the same event we had last year, which was a pretty fun event, especially the new raid they added. It was a pretty awesome raid. I can't wait to play that raid again. Of course, we'll get the community style Blue Beetle, which people voted for. They had mentioned at some point we would get it in December, so I thought it would be the daily rewards style we would get in December. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. Is it going to be the daily reward style in January? Is it going to be added to the January event vendor? We have no idea at this point. Of course, there'll be the Valentine's seasonal event and the St. Patrick's seasonal event. These are usually small events, but they're bringing sometimes some fun new styles into the game, so that could be still fun. Of course, for the second quarter, we will have episode 43. We will have the spring event. We will have the summer event, and for episode 44, it will be sometime in the future, probably next fall. And for the PlayStation 5 client, sadly, at the earliest, it'll be maybe next summer, but probably more like next fall. Uh, People have been waiting for a PlayStation 5 client for quite some time. Although I have to wonder how many people actually play this Universe Online on PlayStation 5. Like heck, I would love nothing more than to purchase a PlayStation 5 and play DCUO on PlayStation 5. It's just not an option. The console isn't available anywhere, or the few places where you can actually get it, it's like $1,300, $1,500. That's not gonna happen. Already $500 for the console will be a steep price. Uh, but sadly, at that price, it's pretty much sold out everywhere. So hopefully during the Christmas holiday, they will receive more PlayStation 5 in stores, and we might be able to purchase it. But then again, during the Christmas holiday, the demand will go way up. So even if they receive a new shipment of PlayStation 5, let's say during Christmas, odds are that will sell out very quickly. My guess is I probably won't have a PlayStation 5 until next year, hopefully early next year, if not maybe next spring. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. But for the PlayStation 5 client, I would say be patient. It's not going to come out anytime soon. At the earliest, I would say end of next summer, next fall. That's probably when we're going to see a PlayStation 5 client. It's something that will probably require a lot of work. It's something that's probably going to be a big task on the devs' plate. I guess so. We'll have to wait and see when they actually manage to complete it. So that pretty much covers this development update. So again, there will be the next one will be in January, when we will get more information about the future of DCUO. But this is pretty much what we know at this point. I'll try to make videos about a few things. I'll try to make a video about the ally system soon. I'm just trying to wait a bit for them to stop making a whole bunch of changes. But sooner or later, I'll have to make a video about that. And there's probably a few other things I could try to cover in the future. I guess I'll have to give it some thoughts.